Good morning. Already had oatmeal. This is what looks like today. Let's see what the weight is for it. So it's probably gonna be a little bit more, I'd imagine, because of oatmeal. Like by 0.2, I guess, I don't know. Alright, what's up, guys? Today is chest. Tell you what, one thing about being a third shifter is some days your sleep does not care about what you want. That's for sure. Like I got 6 hours today, broke up into 3 segments. Yeah, good time. Good times. Yeah, so I mean, other than that, you just kind of, I mean, there's gonna be good days and bad days regardless of the circumstances, you know what I mean? I think that you're gonna, you know, it's how you're spit on it, what you make of the day. So you know, it's crazy though. I actually find that on a day like today, where I get trash sleep, maybe feeling a little bit more tired, you know, whatever. Today I'll have, it just, you know, we'll see what happens, but it seems like, you know, historically, my workouts just go better when I don't want to be there, and I don't know if it's just because, I don't know what the answer is. I really don't. But it's just funny how that works. That works out. You know, if you know, people say that the days you don't want to go, it's not that I don't want to go today, but the days you don't want to go, the days you don't feel like going, and the days you feel like crap, those are the days that matter the most. So yeah. That's kind of how it started, low sleep. So, other than that, let's think about some things. Oh yeah, that's one thing I wanted to talk about. I think what I was gonna do is go back and find the spot, like, because each day I kind of know, like, where we're at in the video. I've kind of like made the main point of what I was talking about, and or found it to be the best spot, or like the best, my words lined up and everything. So I'm probably gonna take that and try to make it into like a little 30-second clip for a short, or like a TikTok or something, and I'm gonna try to start doing that moving forward with the video. So it might be a day by, so you might get the full video, and then the next day have just the, you know, the little snippet that shows like the main message. If you don't want to watch the full video and hear me talk as you're driving or sitting doing dishes or something like that, you can get just the main message that I was trying to talk about. I think it's interesting what always gets people into working out, gets people into fitness, gets people into whatever it is that they're trying to do, even if that, you know, could always be changing. But, you know, to run a marathon, to this, to that. A good example, something that I don't have any plans to run a marathon, but I'm just using this as an example that I never in my dream would have imagined running a marathon, or what I think, what is that, 25 miles or something, I don't know. And I never would have dreamed that. It just doesn't seem like it'd be anything that would be in my vocabulary that I would run a marathon. but I think it's always interesting to see how somebody who could never think that they could do that thing, and then how they got to the point where they did it. What circumstances in life pushed them, molded them, and changed them into somebody who then did whatever that task is. And it doesn't even have to necessarily be about fitness. It can be about finances. It can be about a job. It can be about relationships. You know, it's always interesting to see how somebody got something that you wouldn't have ever imagined them to have. Because, I mean, we most definitely know that we don't see, and I think that's part of the, I think the idea that I like with this, and where I want to go with this, doing YouTube like this, is that to show, because you really don't see these people that do all this stuff behind the scenes, when you don't see the everyday. How's that sun treating you? When you don't see the other everyday, you don't know what these, you know, what everyone's doing, how they got to where they got. You don't know these circumstances. You don't know these stories. And it's not until years later when somebody comes out and like, yeah, no, this is what I'm doing every day. It's like, dang, that's crazy. So I think some people would like to see, it's like, wait, if I were to just do this every day, I could reach whatever goal I'm doing, because that's as easy it is just doing it every day. Trying to think back to what I originally was saying there. So that part of like vlogging, all that, I think is like the idea I like about this concept for what I was doing with this channel. The other part of that I was talking about, where you only see the end result, you don't see all the circumstances that molded that person into getting that end result. You know, did they have a traumatic experience that, you know, they never wanted to face again? Were they, you know, like a victim of something? Were they bullied in high school? You know, it seems like that's always the traditional bodybuilding mentality, is they were bullied in high school, they were the underdog in high school, and or a girl broke up with them and they said, never again am I gonna be that guy, that wimp, you know, whatever. You know, almost like, what are they, you know, they call it like people's origin stories. You know, I think it's always interesting to hear how somebody did something, what they did. You know, especially from the older generation, our parents, grandparents, you know, they talk about they did X, Y, or Z, and you're like, as a younger kid, you're like, how would you, I would have never thought of being able to do that. That's crazy, you were really able to do that? And I'm sure that one day when I have grandkids, I'll tell them stuff that I did, and they're like, I can't believe that, because they only see you as who you are now, not who you were, what your potential was at one point in life. They don't see that, like, no, you were really that good. And then here's the famous question. Then they ask, well, why didn't you ever finish? Why didn't you ever go the extra mile? Well, life happened, circumstances. I had a kid. Yeah, this happened, that happened. There's always a reason why somebody never finished out living that dream they had started. That's a crazy one there. That unrealized potential. You know, and the crazier part is like, from that grandparent's point of view, they're okay. They're content with their decisions that they made to never realize that potential. But from somebody who, on the other end of the spectrum, is just trying to imagine even being at that point, that they don't realize that, like, okay, if I'm even at that point, how do I not tap into that potential? How do I not fully see what I'm capable of doing, whatever facet it is? I think that's what lets people today, these days, win, right? Because there's so many people who are unwilling to capitalize on their potential. So everyone that then is, well, now now they only have to compete with anyone who's willing to take that risk, willing to do the work. And it seems like that's not very many these days. A lot of people just want to complain about their problems. They don't want to do anything to change it. You know, and in regards to that, I feel like you lose the option to complain about your problems if you're not willing to change them. If you're not willing to make a change, you know, a successful person is not going to look at a situation in which they're faced with an obstacle and go, oh no, what am I going to do? Like, you know, woe is me. It's going to be, how do I solve this problem? What are the pathways to solve the problem, and then solve it? You know, it goes back to the, you know, the day one. You know, the hardest part is starting. I think that's what holds a lot of people back from realizing their potentials. They're afraid to start. They're afraid to put themselves out there. They're afraid to be vulnerable. Some people are just merely afraid of, what if they do it, they're going to lose the idea that there's something out there to do, if that makes sense, right? By not doing it, they know that there's this unattainable thing that they can reach up towards whenever they want to feel like they're doing something. If they were to be able to even get close to touching that, then it would seem less like a dream and something awe-inspiring to something more realistic. And for some people, that doesn't even fit into their playbook. They like to have an excuse as to why they can't do stuff because it's unrealistic, because it's not possible. And they use that out of touch, out of their grasp concept to justify their own situation. So, all right, I'm gonna get in here and hit chest. I will talk to you guys afterwards. Well, this is kind of an ominous look. I don't have a light really on the camera, so I have to put my dome light on. That's funny. I had to run to the store after the gym here and grab some eggs, a little bit of ground beef. But workout went good. You know, thought kind of more about just people's origin stories and stuff like that, and then seeing people in the gym and stuff, and everyone's at a different point, different place, and you don't know what that is. And you know, I found it wasn't necessarily any slower around this time. It was kind of just as busy, and means that, you know, there's just as many people as there would be when I was going. It was like an hour or so prior. And you look around and you see a lot of people that they all, like, how am I trying to say this? But everyone has a completely different story. And it's always interesting, like I said, when you see like where somebody's at, and you know, specifically, there was this individual that I had solved it. You know, from my perspective, and this isn't me trying to like pass judgment on him or anything, but from my perspective, he appeared overweight. And you know, over the course of the last year of seeing him in the gym, and you know, up till recently, he's pretty lean. So then it begs you to wonder, like, was the weight gain intentional? Did he just make a life-changing decision and completely alter the way that his appearance looked? You know, there's I'm sure there's a really interesting story there when you see somebody who's done something great for themselves like that. Whether it was intentional or not, you know, you don't see that slow 0.02 pound per day change that they're going through. You only see that, shoot, I haven't seen this guy here in 6 months. Wow, he's completely different than the last time I saw him. Yeah, you only see the end product when dealing with stuff. And I think that brings up a good question of anytime somebody looks at you, judges you, sees you, appears, you know, sees you out and about and passes judgment on you, from that time that they're seeing you, you know, that is the end product that they're seeing. Wow, this guy only cares about his health this much. He must really not care about himself. He must really make poor decisions. And then they see you later like, wow, this guy really did a great thing for it. And they don't realize that maybe it's all intentional. And I think that goes back to what I was saying yesterday, where regardless of what you do, people are going to judge you. Regardless of how you operate in any of these situations, what you look like, what you do, how you act, they're going to judge you. So you just got to do it for you. You know, I'm as cliche as it sounds, you know, everyone's always like, you know, it's a battle between you and the person in the mirror, or yourself and whoever's in the mirror, or you and you, or however you want to say it. And then that's, I think it's totally accurate. The only person that you should be judging is yourself. Did those decisions I made yesterday put me in the place I wanted to be today? Did whatever my goal is, did I work towards achieving or getting closer to that goal today? And for some people that's all right, but if you're one of those people that wants more, and when you ask yourself that question, the answer is no, you probably need to rethink something. You probably need to change something that you're doing. You know, I'll use an example of like these videos I'm doing. You know, all stuff on YouTube has analytics, right? It lets you see how the videos are performing, what they're doing. If I make the same exact style of video every day for a year, and there's no change in what I'm receiving, which would be views or whatever, likes, whatever, I probably need to do something different. I probably need to change. I need to change the format. I need to change some editing. I need to change, you know, something. I don't have to change myself necessarily, but just change my process. I forget who the comedian is, but that guy, you know, I think there's memes and TikToks about it where it's like nothing changes and nothing changes. True. It's just how it's going to be. Nothing changes and nothing changes. So, and a lot of times, drastic change takes drastic circumstances. You know, like I was talking for the pre-workout talk, you know, it takes somebody, sometime, a big life-altering thing to have happen for them to go, I'm done with this. I'm not doing it this way no more. I'm changing how I'm dealing with this. I'm changing who I am. I'm changing how I act, how I react, all of it. And that's the spark. That's a spark. You know, that's like the motivation, but it's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing forever. And it's hard. You know, the question, sometimes I get asked questions at the gym by some different people, just because they'll be like, hey, how do you do this? What do you do that? And most of the time, it's either older guys or well, older than me, or high schoolers or something. And most of the time I answer to high schoolers is like, hey, you know, if they're 16, 17, 18 years old, it's like, I've almost been doing this more than you've been alive. So if you can't do what you're doing right now to some aspect for that amount of time, it probably ain't gonna happen, man. It ain't an overnight thing. And I try to portray that to them, that like, you need to understand that this is not something, nothing just happens overnight. Every day you got to work at it. Every day you got to move forward towards that goal. Or else, yeah, it just doesn't happen. So, let me see. I kind of want to boil down what I talked about prior, what I just talked about now. Try to get, before I close up here, now that I'm at the house, some sort of message of the day of what I talked about. What do I think is the most important little aspect of what was said? You know, I think it's probably the idea that nobody sees the work. They only see the end product. Even if that end product is that first time they meet you and it's not even the circumstances you want to be. You're out of shape, you're overweight, you know, whatever. That's when they see you. That's the end product. People only see the end product. They do not see the day-to-day work that goes into it. So, you got to make sure that your day-to-day work makes you be in a position that not other people, I don't want to say appreciate, but not other people enjoy the end product or like the end product or are proud of the end product, but you always need to be proud of the end product. So if you close out your day, at the end of your day, this is what your product looks like, regardless of what all the work that went into it 6 months prior, this, that, and the other. Are you proud of where you at, what you've accomplished so far that day? Appreciate the things that you've done and that you've obtained. And then use that as a basis to what you need to do the next day to get close to that goal. So let me get it in one sentence here. Nobody sees the work, they only see the end product. That's going to be the message of the day. Nobody sees the work, they only see the final product, the product at the end, right? When you build a deck, nobody cares about every cut you made to the exact measurement, to this, that, right? They only see the deck at it when it's done. They only see that final product that you've produced. They don't see that you had to recut this one board 6 times. They don't see none of that. Nobody sees the work, they see the final product. Tomorrow, we'll be back. I will see you guys in my morning. Adios.